Hi there, how are you today? I hope you are really well. Welcome and thank you for watching today's episode of How Can I Help You Today? And today's question comes from Savannah, and she asks, can you help give some advice on parenting and discipline after a trauma? Okay, so this is a big one, and obviously this has come to me because you know that it is a topic that's going to be close to my heart because of after the experience that my daughter and I have been through, particularly my daughter losing her father. And I think with anything to do with parenting is going to be, so multifaceted. There's so many different dimensions to parenting, and the complexities of that after your child yourself have experienced some kind of trauma. So the two things that I want to comment on in this video, just to keep it concise, keep it accessible to people who are watching, are consistency and boundaries. So with discipline, with any form of discipline, I would say the importance of consistency is it's key. It really, really is key. From, I don't know, probably about the age of 1.5, 2, I was using the naughty step or naughty spot. Perhaps that wasn't the right word, use of words at the time, but that's what it was called by Super Nanny, and it really worked. But it worked because I was consistent, and it had the impact, the effect that I wanted it to have. And I think that is something that I have carried through in terms of discipline throughout her life, since she was a small child, and she really responds well to consistency. I think that comes hand in hand with boundaries and the importance of having those boundaries. Consistency helps to create boundaries. Children need boundaries. They feel safe when they have them, and that consistency of creating those, these are the boundaries within which I expect you to operate in this world. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with having boundaries. I think that they're an important aspect of parenting. They're an important aspect of any relationship that you have. It's very, very important to have boundaries, but specifically we're talking about discipline and parenting. And I think so if I was to offer two things to this in this video, it would be the importance of consistency and the importance of boundaries. Having boundaries and having that consistency of implementing those boundaries teaches children about boundaries. It teaches them not only about boundaries for themselves, but the boundaries of other relationships that they will have. So not just themselves in their relationship with you, it teaches them about boundaries in their relationships that they'll go on to have as children, as young adults, and going on throughout the rest of their life. So you're kind of, I guess, modeling that excellent behavior that you want them to then go on and illustrate in the rest of their lives. So you're helping them. You're really, really helping them by having those boundaries, and by teaching them what's appropriate and by teaching them what's not appropriate. In terms of discipline after, and parenting and discipline after experiencing a trauma, I still think that it is so important to have that consistency and to have those boundaries. When, shortly after the death of Alara's father, she was obviously, she was obviously very sensitive to being disciplined, and it, raised the emotions for her. And sometimes she wouldn't be, when she was told off about something, or when I disciplined her about something, when she would cry, she wouldn't necessarily be crying about being told off. It was just an opportunity for some emotion to come up around what was going on at the time. And, it felt sad for me, it felt really, really sad for me. But it's still important that I was consistent with the discipline, consistent with the boundaries, because I've seen it in, my line of work, and I've seen it whereby students who have experienced a trauma, perhaps they've experienced the loss of a parent, And what can tend to happen is the other parent that is left behind, it overcompensates and allows the child to do, perhaps things that in the former life when the other parent was around, was present, they wouldn't have allowed them to get away with. But because that parent is no longer there, because they feel that they need to be more gentle, be more sensitive, which you do obviously, but they feel that they need to perhaps overcompensate for the loss of the parent. And I think that it is perhaps something that if that is the way that it goes, you could potentially be making a rod for your own back, because what I have seen time and time again when that happens is that things just spiral out of control, and the parent who is raising the child then loses the grasp on those boundaries that they once had, and that child can then basically start to run the roost, and it goes from overcompensating or being lenient on one thing to just another and another and another, and then where does it end? So I think there is definitely something to be said for being more sensitive, being more gentle, being more loving, being more kind than you already are, and I'm sure that you're already doing all of those things. But I think that it is so crucial and so important that you maintain your consistency and you maintain your boundaries, because you're teaching your children about life, about relationships, about boundaries, about consistency through your behaviour, and they're watching you. And although at the time they may resist it, they may fight against you, not physically, but emotionally, you perhaps would experience some resistance, some tension. But in the future, in the long run, they will thank you for it, because they feel safe when there are boundaries in place. They feel protected when there are boundaries in place, and the consistency really is important. So it confuses them. It confuses children when there's no consistency. It confuses children when there are no boundaries. And at their primal level, their little chimp might be absolutely fighting against you putting those boundaries in place. But at a functional level, at an emotional level, they need that. They need you to be the one that's in charge. They need somebody to be in charge, because there's so much that is happening, especially once they've experienced trauma, that they are just out of control of, and they need the person who takes care of them to be responsible for maintaining some stability, some normality. And as challenging as that might be for you, as challenging as they may present it or illustrate to you that it is for them, it is what they need, and they will grow through and come out the other side of resisting against it. And it's just a process that they have to go through. But I would say definitely, obviously, you're going to want to be more sensitive to their needs, gentler, kinder, more loving, but the boundaries and the consistency, I would say, don't negotiate on that, because you'll be making a rod for your own back in the long run. Okay, so that's my thoughts. Anything that I say, it's not prescriptive. Please understand that I'm not saying you must do this or you must do that. I'm being asked to offer my genuine opinion and my genuine thoughts around topics, and I'm just sharing with you what has worked in my life, what has worked in my clients' lives, and the experience that I've had over the years of being involved in either coaching or working in education or working with people, which I have done for many years. So please don't take this as prescriptive, just take it as advice. Take what you want, leave what you don't want, and whatever you do take, I hope that it is really helpful for you. So Savannah, thank you for your question. I hope that whatever you are going through, whatever your children are going through, is the journey for you is smooth, and your pain or your trauma passes, and you're able to find ways of dealing with that in a way that you can move through it easily and effortlessly. So my thoughts are with you, and I hope that this has helped you. Okay, bye for now.